spawned in the light years of space, unleashed to take over the bodies and souls of the people of our planet.
Shock Tales with Johnny Thunder.
And Baker.
Bringing a new dimension in terror.
All right, well, I wet my whistle.
Whoa, watch it, pervert!
And no, that's not being cute for something weird.
Hey, now.
Chris, you can talk about Barbarian, set it up, and then I'll just chime in.
Oh, no. Don't.
See, I love when I actually do something that you're not expecting because that's the best part.
Don't do that.
So you don't want me to just do it?
I always told you that is always the worst thing to do is to throw it off.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I want to do it because I want to end it in a traditional, terrible way.
Jesus. All right. So this girl Tess shows up at an Airbnb to discover that it's been double booked. Keith, who is already there, invites her to stay the night until they can kind of sort things out with the owner. The suspense starts to build as you kind of don't know if you can trust Keith. So there things that get a little bit on edge. Some freaky shit happens that night, and then the next day.
That's the best spoiler free.
I'm trying to be as spoiler free.
And then crazy shit happens for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Then the next day, so Tess has a job interview. When she returns back to the house, Keith is not there. She ends up going down into the classic horror trope. Venturing down into the basement and
right, but I don't know how far we want to get into all that.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so
some stuff happens.
So she gets freaked out, tells Keith that she's worried about being there and whatnot. Keith goes down into the cellar to investigate. All kinds of shenanigans happen, and then the movie takes off.
The needle goes right off the record, and we switch narratives.
Yeah. So it was a wild ride. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's not perfect, but I thought it was a very solid, rock solid movie. So we get to a certain point in the movie, and she goes to find Keith or whatever. I don't want to once again give away too much. I thought the movie was over. I was like, oh, shit, we're only like 45 or 50 minutes into the movie. The thing's over? Fuck, what the fuck is going on? Now we've got Justin Long's character, AJ, who shows up as like the classic TV producer douchebag type of guy.
Well, is it bad to admit he kind of reminded me of somebody that I know, a podcaster that I...
Oh, you're too quick-witted for him. You're good at repartee.
What? Takes one to know one, I guess, right? Who could you be talking about?
I don't know.
Anyway... I don't know where else we can go with this without giving away too much and keeping it spoiler free.
Well, here's what I'll say about it. I went into this I knew nothing about it. So I enjoyed the fact that I walked into this. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't read any, reviews. I didn't even look it up. I was just like, I'll just go, whatever.
Same here.
Because Baker hoodwinked me into doing this ridiculous show. So I show up and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, okay. So to your point, again, it starts off. Here's the other thing. I would also kind of subtitle this. It's Barbarian, AKA one bad decision after another. So here's where I'll say, look, overall, I liked it. So I'm not going to take a complete shit on it. But here's my thing. What I just said to you earlier, remember when I said you booked this hotel for this Friday the 13th, tour thing? So there's this young woman who apparently lives not anywhere near downtown Detroit because her interview is in Detroit. She books this Airbnb. Now, the first thing I would do is go to Google Maps. When you go to Google Maps, you go to Street View, you would see that it's one renovated home literally in the middle of 25 miles of burned out horror houses. Okay, ding, red flag number one. So then you get there in the middle of a storm and there's a dude already in your house. Ding, red flag number two. Now, she doesn't want to go back out and sit in her car and try to find another place to go on her phone because the dude says it's a bad area. I don't know, lady, get back in your Jeep and drive 10 miles, 20 miles back out. I'm sure there's a hotel. Ding. Then you wake up and your doors are opening and there's like weirdness running around. Then you go to your interview, right? The woman who interviews you says like, oh, you're staying where? Oh, dear God, you can't stay there. You need to leave. And she's like, well, there's a convention in town. There's nowhere to stay. I'm sure there's other hotels in suburban Michigan that you can stay in, right? So then she goes back and then it's like, I left my cell phone on my dresser, but I'm going to go into this dungeon of horror. Then it's, I escaped the dungeon of horror, but let me leave my car keys on the kitchen table. Like, what? Or dude that you don't know that you think is a serial killer. Oh, sure, let me follow you down into the horror hole of hell with not a phone, not my keys. And it's like, what? It's literally like bad decision after bad decision. Now, I guess if you excuse all of that, it's fine. Again, with this movie, the performances I thought were awesome because what I love, Bill Skarsgård is just phenomenal because you kind of have this in your head, what you alluded to, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? You know, he lures women here and like throws them into his basement. Is he a good guy? You have no idea. But again, the performances I thought were great. And I also love that Richard Brake, who was in 31 and he was in a couple other Rob Zombie movies, shows up as sort of a flashback. And again, what I really, really dug about this movie, the biggest thing that I admired was the very unusual narrative structure, right? You know, you have this kind of like present day story. Then as we alluded to, you've got this break where suddenly it shifts to a completely different character, but then the two stories come together, but then they kind of do this flashback. And that's what I really admired was this unique storytelling and the performances. Now I will say, I guess, I don't know, is it too spoiler to say, yes, there's like a quote unquote monster in this, which was freaky. So to your point, Chris, it's a wild ride. If I was just laughing at, like I said, just every bad decision made by like every character in this movie,
you're not wrong.
But no. But you had said I had the greatest time. I just thought it was just a great ride.
It was what a movie's supposed to be. It was entertaining.
Right.
Doesn't have to make a lot of sense. There were a lot of bad decisions.
Doesn't have to make a lot of sense and make a lot of bad decisions. You've just described our show.
Yeah, it's kind of my life, So.
Oh, really?
I walked out of the theater and I was just like a shit-eating grin on my face. And I was just like, I had a fucking good time. The coolest part about it is on the ride home, I jumped on my bike, riding home. There's a full moon out and it was a harvest moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast.
But I can't leave them. I can't. Yes. Go. You live.
I'm going now. Heaven help